Hey guys, this is Ruckus Gaming coming at you with another Tuesday tips and tricks video. Today's topic, the top 10 tips for beginners. This will be a very beginner oriented list. This is stuff that I think made the biggest difference when I first started playing the game in my first 10 to 20 hours, and I really didn't know what I was doing or how to improve. Going online and looking at other people play on YouTube or Twitch or looking at the subreddit, I saw a lot of the same things suggested over and over again, and I thought I'd just put them together into a quick video. I don't want to ramble on too long. Try to keep it short today. So with that in mind, let's just jump straight into it and get started. The very first tip we're going to talk about is to unlock everything on all of the characters. When you buy Slay the Spire and you start playing, you'll see a little progress bar that fills up based on the score at the end of each of your runs. At the end of each unlock level, you will either be granted specific character cards, but you will also be given relics, which are generally shared between all characters, though the defect relics are defect specific. Even if you play a single character and that's the only one you really like, I think it is worth it for the experience and the knowledge that it will give you about the game in general, but also for those very important relics that you can use on all characters. I am thinking mainly of the Dead Branch unlock on Ironclad, the Pandora's Box unlock on Silent, and the Akabeko unlock on the Watcher. Those are very, very solid relics, and they can often make the biggest difference in really turning a deck from something that is struggling into something that is thriving. So, for just general game knowledge and experience, it's great, but there are also very valuable relics that are hidden between the higher levels of unlock on other characters that you may be very interested in having, even if you don't want to play that specific character. Next up, tip number 2, take everything you see when you are starting out with Slay the Spire. Take all the cards, take all the events, say yes to everything, because the only way that you're going to learn how to use these cards, how to use these events, how to use these potions, how to use the relics, is to actually use them. Now, it's going to be a lot of trial and error at the beginning before you really know how the game works and how things work together, but that's why you're doing this. If you are too intimidated by something, or you are unwilling to try out a certain mechanic because you may think it's not powerful, you're missing out on important knowledge and experience that will improve all of your future runs. Just knowing when a card can help you or when it can't help you. And the best way to figure that out quickly is to take everything, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't. Next up, tip number 3, stop taking everything. I know I just said take everything, but now you gotta stop. One of the biggest things that improved the quality of my decks and the win rate that I had and my ability to climb Ascension was simply taking less cards. The skip button is something that I just knew was there but never really considered carefully, and it wasn't until I realized that very large bloated decks are inefficient, they take longer to play your best cards or to see them, and can lead to a lot of deaths. So having less cards in your deck makes it easier to get to your good ones. That is not to say that there is a maximum limit on your deck. I've seen decks win with 50 or more cards. So it's not a 100% true thing. There's no such thing as 100% true in Slay the Spire. But in general, once you have enough experience and knowledge, you need to start applying it and start being a little more picky with your card choices. You don't need to take everything. That skip button can sometimes be the best option by far. Just by not adding a low quality card to a deck, you are keeping the quality of your deck high. Next up, tip number 4, rest less. I can definitely say that when I started out, I was over resting. I was very, very paranoid about losing health. I was always trying to keep my health at full because I didn't know what was coming, and I was afraid that, one bad combat might lose all of the HP I had. So I was resting far too often, and the biggest penalty there is not upgrading your cards. Card upgrades are extremely important. Some cards go from mid-tier to high-tier based on their upgrades, and when you get these cards in your deck will be high priority things to upgrade and get to a campfire to use that upgrade or to get that upgrade. Wasting an upgrade that you need to take a rest that you don't need will really hamper your ability to scale up in strength quickly enough to handle those later Act 3 combats. You're going to be stuck with the basic level of a card. It's not going to be as powerful or as efficient or easy to play, and in the long run, over time, that will make it harder for you to win. You need good upgrades to win. Stop resting too much. Next up is tip number 5. For this one, it is take more elites. I was very, very intimidated by elites when I first started. I would often path around them. I was paranoid that they would do too much damage and they would cripple me, if not outright kill me. The thing is, though, that elite nodes are probably the second most powerful in that they give the second best rewards given in any act. They give a better chance to get a rare card, they give a relic, they can give gold, they can give potions. Those are all very valuable things, and increasing those in your deck will make your deck much better and makes it easier to win. Not taking the elite fights is a limit on your resources, and it makes it much harder to win. So, take more elites, get better rewards, winning gets easier. Next up, number 6, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to take some cards that you normally don't take. I think we all have the experience when we first start out of our first win, we play a ironclad block deck, or we play a silent shiv deck, or whatever. And then we have this positive association with it, and we think, wow, I won with this kind of deck, so that must be a really good deck, and I should just keep doing that. The problem is you can't force decks in Slay the Spire, and if you just decide that you're going to build something and you neglect to take better opportunities in lieu of holding out, really praying to get the card that you need and searching for it, you may just never find it. And you're going to have to take other cards. You're going to have to take other relics. You're going to have to say yes or no to different events than you usually do, because every run is different. You're going to have to try new things. If you're always trying the same strategy over and over, you'll get a win once in a while when everything lines up just the way you need it. The way to increase your win rate and to gain ascension levels is by trying different strategies based on what's been offered to you and the entire context of the run. Number 7, this tip is take those scary cards or scary relics. I think there are a lot of things that new players see and immediately wonder, why would anyone want that? Why is that good? Personally speaking, the first time I saw corruption, I didn't get it. I thought getting rid of all your cards would be a bad thing. I mean, these are really good cards. If I play them and they disappear, that's bad. I want to play them again, right? Well, not really. Many of the scary cards or scary relics that have drawbacks, when compared to the benefit they provide, the drawback is much smaller, and there are often many ways to work around it. For example, coffee dripper. Many people are scared of not resting, but then you realize, oh, but I can also heal from potions. I can heal from cards in my deck. I can heal from other relics. I can heal from events. There are many numbers of ways to get around that scary side effect of not being able to rest. Once you take those scary cards or scary relics and you try to figure out how to work with them, work around them, and really maximize the benefit that they provide while limiting the bad that they do confer, you're going to have some really good results. And you're going to start to see why those scary things like Snecko randomizing your cost is like, whoa, that might screw me. That might give me all 3 cost cards. Yeah, it might. But it also gives you more draw. And seeing more cards and playing more cards is very powerful. So, scary can be bad, but scary can also be very, very good. Number 8 tip, that is, use those potions. I am admittedly not the best at this myself. I think a lot of people know the meme of, an RPG player hoarding all of their potions just in case they need them, and then they show up at the final boss fight and, they've got more than they could ever need. If you're dying in Slay the Spire and you have a potion in your belt, what are you doing? Potions are incredibly powerful and they can make a big difference. I know you might have a potion with a future use in mind, and that's a smart thing to do. Knowing when a potion can solve a problem that your relics in your deck can't, they are a great solution, especially if you have a specific fight in mind that your deck or your relics can't deal with. But if you don't get there and you're stuck in a tough hallway fight, don't hold on to the potion and die with it. It could save you. You could get another potion again later. You get them in shops, you get them for free, you get them from events. You're going to see more potions. Don't hoard them too needlessly. You'll see more, use them, make sure you get the value. Dying with potions is ridiculous. Tip number 9 is remember those relics. There are a lot of conditional relics that can really give you an added level and raise the skill ceiling to your play because you can plan around the conditions. For example, if you have Incense Burner and every 6 turns you get that intangible. Well, if you know that you've got a tough fight coming up and you want to get ready for it, you can stall out the previous fight and say, you know what, I'm going to end this fight on the exact right turn so I know when I need it in the next fight, the Incense Burner will do all the blocking for me and I don't have to worry about it. Or you've got Nunchaku and you're playing attacks for extra energy. Or you've got Ink Bottle. Or you've got Shuriken. Or you've got Kunai. Or you've got what have you. So many of those conditional relics are easy to forget about, especially if you've got a bunch of them in your bar. So, it is a very important tip to remember just to look at that bar every once in a while. Remind yourself what you've got. If you've got something you need to count, remind yourself of the number. Just make sure that you're not accidentally wasting value on these relics, playing double damage pen nib on a low damage card just because you weren't paying attention. You want to play a high damage card with your double damage pen nib. Pay attention. I'm always making mistakes with this and going, why did I waste that? I could have used that better. I would have ended the fight earlier. I would have saved HP, and then I'd be in a much better situation later. So keep an eye on the relics. Don't forget to use them. Last, final tip. This is something that will come with time, and I think you can really aid yourself in learning if you use mods or if you look at the wiki. This is not cheating. This does not make you a lesser player. It is just looking up information that is already in the game. It's just a nice way to collect things and reference them. It's not a weakness, but even if you don't want to, over time you will learn enemy attack patterns. And I don't mean you need to memorize them. You don't need to tell me, oh, this enemy on this turn has a 30% chance to do this much damage and a 40% chance to do this much, or a 30% to debuff. You basically just have to know what's their one big thing. When you're playing a roguelike, you learn the system of rules and how they work together, but Slay the Spire is slightly different in that many combats, many enemies have unique mechanics that you will never see in another fight. And it starts right at floor 1, something like the lice. They have that curl up. You hit them and they defend. Literally no other enemy does that. It is a one combat mechanic or one enemy mechanic. So just before you even get into a fight, you see that enemy pop up and you have some idea of what is their one big thing. Time Eater counts cards. Transient loses attack power when you damage him. Reptomancer summons those daggers, whatever it is. Just about every combat, every enemy has one big thing that they do, one kind of little trick that makes them something different, something special from all the other enemies, and you need to treat them a little differently for whatever reason. If you have a good library of that information in your brain, that will make everything a lot easier because you're not reacting to what they're doing on that turn. You can plan ahead. You can decide, is my deck ready for this elite? Maybe I should go around it. Learning the enemy attack patterns, knowing what your deck can do and what it can't do, what enemies that it will beat easily, what enemies that it will struggle to beat, really affects your decision making, how you path, and will eventually make you a better player. Though it is the one that comes at the highest cost of just taking time and experience. You can't really just look at the wiki one time and know it. You have to play, but when you do it, you'll learn it. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. I hope I didn't go on too long with those. And if you have any more tips, if there's anything that you thought was really helpful when you were a new player and I didn't mention it, feel free to drop it down in the comments. Maybe help somebody else out. As always, thank you guys. Leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and have a great day.